Auburn's latest scrimmage still leaves plenty of questions about this football team.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining us as he does every Monday, it is Lindsay Crosby of the Barn, Auburn.com, as well as many other places.
Like a million.
Lindsay, we're going to talk about Baylor being down one of their key running backs and how that could impact this season opener between the Tigers and the Baylor Bears. But look, Auburn's defense cooked, dominated at the latest scrimmage, and we'll touch on that. But the other side of that is the negative spin on this. It's where we all have our eyes on and our ears out for, and what we're questioning is, what is his offense going to look like in 2025 with Jackson Arnold and these young receivers, a new offensive line, and a running back stable that doesn't seem to be able to stay on the field. It's very easy to just say, oh, well, the defense dominated because the defense is going to be very good. And I do think that's true. I do think that's part of it. But when a big talking point this camp has been, Jackson Arnold and consistency and confidence, I was really wanting to hear Jackson Arnold was dominant in this latest scrimmage. And that's just not what happened, Lindsay. And it's hard not to be a little concerned about it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think this is something where everybody's going to kind of see something in this story that reinforces your priors, right? If you were already concerned about the offense and didn't believe in Jackson Arnold, this is more ammunition. If you are the kind of person that thinks the defense will be the strength of the team and the offense is going to be able to do enough, this is going to kind of confirm your priors. That the reality is probably somewhere in the middle. I'm sure the offense was working on installing some stuff, getting everybody repping some certain plays so the defense knows what they're going to be doing. It's the guys that they've lined up against 1,000 times. They know these guys. I feel like you usually play better against your own team than against somebody else simply because you're not surprised by everything.
Yeah,
but it's still a bad report to hear that the offense struggled as much as they did.
Yeah, I mean, I expect the defense to win.
Yeah.
Like, that's not really what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned that there wasn't a moment where, Jackson, had a great ball to Cam Coleman or Eric Singleton in the end zone, or, somebody went up to get it. There wasn't like one moment for Jackson. And that's what I don't like. And once again, it sounds like Jay Crawford and Kayan Lee and, the defensive backs were everywhere, which is good and confirms what we've been saying all offseason. We'll talk about that aspect of it in a second. But yeah, I wanted there to be a moment where it's like, that's it. That's what we're trying to see as much as possible and bottle it up to, when we need to see a highlight, like Jackson Arnold's got it in his bag. And we've seen those videos that Auburn's put out throughout, fall camp. And I don't question that he has the ability to do that. I think he does. But he didn't in the scrimmage. And so it sounded like he had a touchdown run that was called back for a penalty. But also, when you're a mobile quarterback, you're kind of limited in these scrimmages because they don't let anybody touch you, which is the right move. Similar things with Deuce. Sounds like Deuce had a rushing touchdown. Deuce also had a good throw to Perry, I believe, which is exciting. But yeah, I wanted there to be a moment that kind of trickled out of this close scrimmage where we could all kind of whisper and, say, ooh, the Jackson Arnold hype is building.
Yeah.
And we didn't get that. And, is it a huge deal? No, for reasons we're about to discuss. But I do like that you said, if you doubted the offense going into it, you have ammo. And if you believe in Auburn's defense going into it, you certainly have ammo.
Yeah.
And also, if it's just hey, the offense is going to be fine, it takes time. All of those things can absolutely be correct here.
Yeah, if you're a believer in Jackson Arnold, what this wide receiver group's going to do and everything, your ammunition here is something you touched on. He's a mobile quarterback. Those things work together, right? No mobile quarterback is going to sit back in the pocket in a scrimmage and look as good as a pocket passer will look, because so much of that's predicated on the threat of the run, getting guys in the wrong position, all that good stuff. Like Nick Marshall throws a touchdown pass to Sammy Coates because of the threat of the read option and running the ball. Like, you don't get that in a scrimmage because they're not worried about you taking the ball. So everybody has ammo here. And the problem is we just don't have any answers. And we're probably not.
Yeah, and we won't. We won't until they have Baylor. But, we can kind of get as much context as we possibly can.
Yeah.
I got a call from someone when they left the scrimmage.
Ooh, flex.
And
how big of a flex is this? Is this like a little flex or a big flex?
Little flex, I guess.
Flex. Okay. It's not like a Auburn letter winner who went in the NFL called you. It's like a connected person, but not like a great of the program. Okay.
Yeah. But somebody within the program, somebody who was at the scrimmage and knew everybody's name and the situations of everything, right?
Nice.
But there's I was really excited to see Jackson Arnold and the offense, and I'm frustrated that I wasn't able to. Yeah, that's what all the reports say. Like that lines up. That lines up. And then you get a call from somebody else, and it's like Jackson, you could tell he's an athlete, but he also had the worst throw of the day. And it got picked off by Robinson. I'm blanking on his name. Which isn't ideal. So I don't really know what to do with all that. And guys are allowed to have bad days. Jaquez Robinson. And guys are allowed to have bad days. I'm not criticizing Jackson here, but I did want him to get a win, and it just doesn't sound like he got one in the scrimmage.
Yeah. Which, that happens too. And there's a couple more practices this week. I think there's a viewing window on Thursday, so in a couple days. There's opportunities to and here's the thing. He could be getting plenty of wins when people aren't there, right? In a normal practice, it's just in the scrimmage format, he didn't. And that's the hard part with you're in camp. There's such limited access. Most of us weren't there.
Yeah.
It's tough sometimes to know about these things. To me, it feels like there's too much talent to not have the share of wins, but I come down on the line of when you're a running quarterback, it's so hard to flash in practice when you can't have that element of your game influencing everything else the defense does.
Yeah, and there's also an element of you're limited to unless you're in the huddle or part of the play calling situation, you don't know the fullness of the plays.
Yeah.
But it did seem like there were more drop back stuff and less RPO. And
that's another thing that's been a strength is the RPO.
Yeah, right. So, why was that the case? Maybe they feel confident in the RPO game and they're trying to expand it outside of that. That's what you hope, right? If you're an Auburn fan watching this, that's your hope. There was one other thing that happened that I actually think gives us more context to be not concerned, but asking questions about a certain position group. And then the defense was incredible. All that's coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. Lindsay, if you want to go to Waco Friday night to start the season, can you imagine buying a ticket anywhere other than with our friends at Game Time?
I would never do that. Listen, I know, I'm the kind of person that wants to have my ticket up front. I want to buy it now versus waiting. But here's the thing. On Game Time, prices get lower the closer you get to game time.
That's
and
true.
What's really cool, you can see what the view is going to be like from your seat. Hey, am I in the sun? Am I facing the sun? Is the sun in my back? Where am I in relation to the 50? My big thing, where am I in relation to where the long snappers are warming up? I want to watch those guys.
Right.
Game Time's great for that.
Yep. I've got the Game Time app pulled up right now. You can get a ticket right now, all in $180. That's fees, taxes, everything included for $180 a pop. So head over to Game Time today. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets, as well as, of course, tickets for this football season with the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. There's one other moment, and part of these kind of overlap because, once again, I don't think people understand how good Jay Crawford is. I just don't think they get it. I don't think they get it. There was a moment in the scrimmage where he apparently just rocked Damari. Helmet flew off, and then Damari was down for like a few minutes. Somebody said 5 minutes. Somebody said a few minutes, the different people that I talked to.
Yeah.
And then they both believed that Damari did not come back in afterwards, which is probably the right move.
Yep.
And it just goes back to a concern that Daryl had last week of the consistency of like the running back staying on the field. Now, if you get rocked or whatever, like if you got hit in the head, especially, like you don't want to rush him back out there. I'm not saying they made the wrong decision, but there has been questions about this running back room, both in the spring and fall, where like it doesn't seem like any of them they've all been healthy at the same time, which thankfully you've got 4 guys I think that they feel comfortable with, because Omar Mabson has really bust onto the scene. But I do think that's a question worth asking. I think that question is worth asking way more than like, is Jackson Arnold good or not? I think the running backs being available consistently is a larger question at this point.
I do think there is also, on that note, like I'm going to address that, but I do think also on that note, there is something to the idea, and this is all anecdotal, but I feel like when you do a lot of RPO stuff, your running backs do get hit more because obviously they're getting hit on run plays, but they're also sometimes getting hit when you choose to not hand the ball off to them. So it's kind of something
but that's also the assumption that like RPO and play action are the same thing, and that's not always true.
Yeah, I know, but just kind of anecdotal there. Sometimes
no, I get it. I get it. Yeah. But that's the position. Like you get hit a lot. Like,
yeah.
And if it is play action and the RPO is part of it, where they put the ball in the belly of the running back and the quarterback pulls it, like as part of your job is to sell that you've got the football
and get
like
hit,
that's part of it. So, but yeah, sure. Yeah. Anecdotally, that's true.
I do think if there's any position, and I don't want to like minimize the health of a student athlete, I do think if there's any position where you can almost kind of plug a guy in and he can pick it up a little bit quicker, it feels like running back is that spot versus a lot of other positions. I will like it you don't see a lot of freshman tight ends burst on the scene, but you see a lot of like freshman running backs just show up and they know their plays and they get in stuff. But it is frustrating that you can't cycle through these guys with the same quarterback, the same offensive line, and understand here's what each guy is doing well at with this personnel grouping and with what they're not. That is frustrating.
And hopefully they're just being cautious, right? Yeah. Like hopefully they're just being cautious with all this. That certainly seemed to be the right move with Damari after he got hit. And then, with Jeremiah Cobb, getting that finger healthy, like that, that makes sense. Like you'd much rather him be healthy than risk anything. And then same with Darrell, who missed spring. Like it makes sense. And hopefully that's all this is. But I do think it's worth asking that question at this point. And then on the other side of that is like, I can't tell how much of the Omar Mabson hype is legit, or it's just like, hey, we're going to give you touches because we're resting our backs for Baylor. Like I can't wait to see how much of it is legitimate and how much of it is necessary, I guess.
Listen, as a Sean Jackson truther, it is entirely possible that this is just a factor of volume. He's a dude they don't see a lot with the first team. And so maybe they're not accustomed to what he does with the ball in his hands versus these other backs. I mean, we thought Sean Jackson was going to be a legitimate piece of this offense at times in camp when he looked really good, and he just never was.
Let's be careful saying we there. Let's be careful of that.
Yeah, you get enough flack for your takes. There are dozens of us who thought
I'm wrong a lot.
Sean
That's
Jackson,
one I was not wrong on.
Yeah, there's dozens of us who thought that Sean Jackson had the potential to be a piece of that offense, and they didn't agree to the point where he barely played. But
I mean, Jarquez got such a high percentage of touches for backs last year, where it's like there wasn't really room for a third back,
Yeah, but it's definitely. I think some of that's the newness thing, right? He's new. Sure. He's probably pressing a little hard to make a good impact. Like there's times when some of those new players they'll go a little more full speed than everybody else is going because this is their first chance to really make an impact and they want to make it felt.
Yeah.
So I think some of it's probably that. There's probably a little bit of we underestimated his talent level and we didn't quite realize he's as good as he is. Probably somewhere in the middle is the truth here.
So physically gifted, it's insane. It's insane. All right, let's pivot to the positive. Maybe we should have led with the positive. I don't know. Let us know. I mean, the defense is everything we thought it would be. I mean, the front
more.
seven, and you're hearing it from names that, like, I mean, obviously we all expect, Keldrick to be fantastic, and Kieran Crawford and Jay Crawford and Kay and Lee, your proven starters, but you're hearing stuff from guys like Jourdin Crawford is a guy that we're just kind of hearing more and more from, which is exactly what Auburn needed with all of this. So
37 different defensive linemen.
What's that?
37 different defensive linemen. Bobby Jamison Travis is flashes at times. Like Kevius Walker is making plays from time to time, getting in the backfield. We've seen things like, not the same position, but like Amaris Williams flashing, coming off the edge and stuff.
Yep.
It's the depth feels like it's really good.
Yeah, and that was one of my biggest questions about this roster, and that is not it anymore. In fact, it seems like that might be one of the deeper positions all of a sudden. We heard early rumblings of James Ash. I didn't hear anything about him from the scrimmage, or Dallas Walker the fourth, but still, like, depth pieces.
Yeah.
And, I didn't hear anything specifically about Malik Autry, but I have, the week prior to that, as far as that he's impressed. And so we said, can, one or two of these freshmen be good enough to get you 10 to 12 snaps a game? And that seems to be happening. It seems like they are good enough for that, which is everything that you want.
And, Bryce Dees is a guy at linebacker who's flashed a couple times. And so it's just, I mean, I feel better now than I have in the last couple seasons about if you lose one of the bigger names. Like, you're going to take a step back, obviously. You lose a Tucker Falk, you're going to be worse. But the fall off between the starter and the backup at a lot of these positions is not as bad as it's been in previous seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's kind of where I feel you are. And so, to me, that's one of the things you need to be competitive and get into the postseason picture is the ability to withstand a couple injuries and still be at 95% effectiveness versus last year you lose a couple cornerbacks and it's 75% of what you were.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as far as like depth on defense, linebacker's really the only one where I'm like, oh
yeah.
And there are certain guys you can't lose. You can't lose Jay Crawford. You can't lose Keldrick.
Yeah.
I don't think you lose Kieran, but there are certain, like, at linebacker, I think over the course of the season, that position will get better with Wheatland getting more and more comfortable. And then I think they want Elijah Melendez to be a guy.
Yeah.
And
Xavier Atkins, Robert Woodyard, like, you got pieces. It's just somebody stepping up and solidifying. I am the guy.
Two guys just seize it.
Yeah. Out of the five options you have, maybe 4 or 5 options.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, you've always had at least one question there at linebacker. It feels like for a few seasons now, where there's always been one question mark of who's going to be that guy. It just happens right now. You have 2 questions, although you have some guys like Elijah Melendez who should be in that spot.
Yeah, and once again, we're assuming DeMarcus Riddick is a key part of that, right? Yeah, it's just who can be that guy next to him. I think you need 2. So, Baylor lost a fairly large part of their offense. How does that impact the season opener? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Baylor running back Dawson Pendergrass. He was second on Baylor's team in rushing yards last year. Bryson Washington led their team last year, but he's expected to be out. He had a foot injury that will require surgery. The way Aranda talked about it, it sounds like he will be back, but it'd be later in the season. He will not be active or a part of their game plan against the Tigers. So honestly, they used Pendergrass in a few different ways. Like, he was a solid rusher, but also they threw to him a lot. Like, this is a guy that when he was on the field, I think you had to play it different. And now that's not going to be one of the guys that they can use in their offense. And like, I know he's the number 2 back, but like they use 2 backs. And I think this will actually impact them.
11 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons, rushing plus, he has 37 receptions in the last couple of years. So kind of doing a lot of everything. I'll be honest. You tell me a guy named Dawson Pendergrass is not going to be available for the opener. I'm assuming he left to go play lacrosse, not an injury, but
nice.
Yeah, thank you. Here's the thing, like Washington, like, yes, they use 2 running backs, but Bryson Washington rushed for over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns last year.
Oh, it's clear 1 and 2.
Yeah,
like, he is clearly not the starter.
It's clear 1 and 2. I think the benefit they had with Pendergrass is he could do some of everything. And so you didn't telegraph what you were doing when he came into the game.
Yeah.
So if anything, there's going to be 2 ways that they deal with this. Either one, they run Washington too much. They have him out there too many snaps, or they get a little more one-dimensional when Washington's not in the game by which player they send out there. Do they do a committee thing where this guy's the rusher, this guy's the pass catcher / pass blocker or whatever? Like, do they kind of telegraph it by the personnel packages? Might simplify things for Auburn a little bit. I don't know a lot about their other backs. My in-laws went to Baylor. They watch all the games. I didn't watch enough to know anything about running back 3 or 4 there, but it feels like this helps Auburn from a knowledge perspective going into it.
So Bryson Washington played 420 snaps for Baylor last year. Dawson Pendergrass played 316. I mean,
they had to be out there together a lot, but it sounds like Pendergrass was blocking a lot too. Then if he only had, he had, what is it? He had a 600 rushing yards last year, plus a couple receptions. He probably was also the pass blocker in that situation too. Yeah,
he pass blocked on 55 of those snaps. It looks like.
There you go.
So, yeah, there you go.
6'2", 234. That's the first thing you think of when like the guy that big, you're probably going to use him a little bit to block. Yeah. And a guy you can throw to, like, it screams third down back, right? Yeah. Or tempo back or whatever. But Bryson Washington's a guy too. So, yeah, I think that's worth noting, and hopefully he has a speedy recovery, which it sounds like he's got a chance to play at some point this year. But I did see the note too that Aranda singled out a 3-star freshman.
Okay.
As standing out well. Caden Knighton stood out as being the guy.
That's a great name. Caden Knighton. That is
Caden
a fantastic,
Knighton.
Fantastic running back name.
Is it the same as Dawson Pendergrass? No, but it's more football than Dawson Pendergrass is. Dawson Pendergrass, didn't need the scholarship because he had the trust fund to pay for school. Like,
Dawson Pendergrass sounds like the name where, like, you pick him up in week 12 in fantasy football and he scores like 18 points for you. And then, like, he never does it again.
See, to me, he sounds like the guy that they've mostly been using for like blocking and third downs, but because of injuries, he has to start. And so he rips off 18 fantasy points in week 13, but then he rips off a 17-point week, a 21-point week. He struggles with a 13-point week. And then when you're banking on him to be big in the championship round, that's where he picks up like 3 points.
He has 3 weeks in a row. You're like, okay, I think I can start him now.
And that's when he screws up. Yes.
It's like,
I've lost your fantasy league enough times to know that.
That's true. Yes. That's true.
Yeah.
But you try super hard.
Listen, I'm invested, man.
Yeah.
I'm invested.
Let us know your thoughts on the scrimmage. Once again, I'm not pressing the panic button. I'm going to be very clear on that. But I did want Jackson Arnold to get a win, and it doesn't sound like that happened. That was my overall takeaway from.
Yeah, like you would see it all over social media. If he had some like deep ball to Cam Coleman back shoulder touchdown thing, it'd be all over. You'd see it everywhere.
Yeah, Auburn's social media, their digital team would be putting that everywhere, and we'd be all over it. But also, we know that this stuff doesn't matter because a few years ago, that's when Shane Hooks had that catch. It was in a similar situation. And like
Zac Blackerby,
we'll talk about me being wrong a lot. That was probably the most wrong I've ever been on anything. 1,000-yard receiver Shane Hooks.
Yeah.
So like once again,
award finalist.
Let's use that as an example of why this shouldn't really matter that much.
Bolitnikoff award finalist Shane Hooks. And then no, he played in like 2 games and had like a couple targets and no catches.
It was brutal. What a whiff. What a whiff.
Listen,
did you see Rivaldo Fairweather caught a touchdown for the Cowboys?
I was about to say, I was like, you do well enough on defensive backs, and then you got a lot of the other calls right, where like
DJ James got a pick.
Listen, Auburn's destroying the preseason, man. Auburn's kicking butt in the NFL preseason. Yeah.
Oh, Pritchett got a pick. Nehemiah got a pick. And it's like, let's go, guys. That's awesome. Yeah. All right.
By the way, if you were curious, I think Shane Hooks is now in Ohio. You know,
he's still playing college football.
The Ohio Bobcats, I think. If I Googled him correctly here, I think he's there. I'm not sure. I could have this wrong.
How does he have eligibility? I mean, good for him. I hope he kills it. But like,
he probably doesn't. I'm probably just getting this wrong.
I don't know. I feel like all you have to do is just say like anything for the NCAA, and they're like, yeah, you can keep playing.
Oh no, he's out. No, never mind. He's out.
Did he play Ohio last year?
He was trying, and then he was trying to catch on with the UFL draft because he didn't get picked by the NFL, obviously. So he's trying to catch on with the UFL, and then now he hasn't tweeted since July 2024. So I'm guessing he's probably not playing.
Got it. Lindsay Crosby, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
I'm on social media at Crosby Baseball. Ton of baseball content while their season's still going on. Braves Today, bravestoday.com. It's a podcast and a newsletter. Locked On Braves postcast after every single Braves game, win or lose. Been too many losses recently. Auburn baseball content, thebarnauburn.com. If you're an MLB fan, MLB Game Night on the Locked On Podcast Network after every single late game finishes every night. Matter of fact, Sunday night, we're going to go talk about Sunday Night Baseball. It's going to be great.
Yeah. That was so much. If you're intimidated by that, just follow him at Crosby Baseball on social media. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.